Hello, welcome to iKiola Student Development. I am your course facilitator. My name is Tony, and I will be facilitating this course today. Today, you are in the go-to guide for student adulting. And before we get started today, I would like to do a quick introduction about who I am, what I'm about, and kind of my mission for this course. So, I've been a student success coach for probably about 13 years now, specializing in adulting experience, getting students ready to prepare for life after graduation. So, what does that mean? Well, I'm talking about education planning, career planning, developing goals and objectives for your personal health, as an adult, developing plans that you can use to move out of your parents' home, or even if you're considering, buying your first car, renting your first car, leasing your first car, developing plans and putting systems in place to help you do those and make those transitions successfully. My main mission for this course is to help students prepare for life after graduation by you getting the right tools and some of the right guidance that can help you be able to make better decisions and more informed decisions. And I can tell you a lot about my own self and my own background because when I graduated from high school, a lot of the concepts that are in iKiola come out of my own life experience. When I graduated from high school and college, I just didn't feel prepared for life after graduation. I wasn't prepared to adult. I wasn't prepared to pay bills, prepared to create goals around education planning, goals around my career and how to grow my career. And so I thought to myself, I said, hey, you know what? I bet that there are other students who could benefit from these concepts that I've learned from through my own life experience. And I hope you enjoy this course that I have for you today and the material that's listed in this course. If you have any questions about any information listed in the course, you can always reach out to me at tony.ikiola@gmail.com. So, when we get into this course, we want to look at some key topics for discussion. So this course is basically to introduce you about the basics of adulting, the general basics of adulting, so you can get a good understanding about what adulting is, what goes into adulting, and ultimately create your own adulting plan. So we're looking to discuss what is modern adulting? What does adulting look like? We're looking to help you identify key adulting strengths. So by the end of this course, I want you to have enough understanding to be able to look at your strengths and areas of improvement and say, hey, these areas that I'm strong in as an adult, these are areas that I want to get stronger in as an adult. And define some key concepts in adulting, some key things that make up adulting, like important legal documents that you may need as an adult. Career and education planning, that creating those goals and objectives for career and education planning so that you want to be able to have a successful journey in your career and education. Health and wellness is a big concept of adulting that really doesn't get talked about. But to be able to have a health and wellness plan, to reduce stress and reduce the likelihood of illnesses that come with health and wellness if you don't have a plan. Housing and transportation, that's a big part of adulting that we're going to talk about. And I'm looking for you to be able to understand these concepts of adulting and ultimately creating your own student adulting plan for success so that you can transition into a very successful adult by having a strong plan. So now that we're finished with that, we can jump into chapter 1, defining adulting. So what is adulting? If you read blogs and research online, or you even ask people, what is adulting? What is this term that everybody talks about? People have even written books about. What is this term adulting? What does it mean? Because for so long, I had always thought that adulting was more so, maybe cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, paying bills, in which these are very important things as an adult to consider and to understand and to actually do. But what is the basis of adulting? What is the definition of adulting? Well, if we look at adulting is the practice of being responsible, number one, and being accountable for your thoughts and actions. It makes up two different words, responsible and accountable. Responsible basically means is that you're taking ownership. You're going to take ownership over a specific task, a specific project or something in your life. You're taking ownership of it, and you have a duty to do something. That's what it basically means. You have a duty to do something because of the ownership that you're taking forward. The second part of adulting is accountability. That means that you have the duty to carry out or justify a decision that you've made. You have the duty to carry out the plans or projects that you have for your life or objectives that you have for your life. That is what adulting ultimately is. It's responsibility and accountability. So at iKiola, we look at adulting as something called adult readiness. We want to help you prepare for life after graduation, and we call it adult readiness. So some of the things that make up adulting include things like goal planning. It's very hard to be an adult if you're not planning goals or setting goals for yourself, whether it be educational, career goals, whether it be goals around finances, or your personal health. So goal planning is a huge part of adulting, a huge, huge, huge part. And part of that is understanding your strengths and weaknesses, things that you're very strong in, things that you want to improve in your life being an adult. And then next, we would look at the concepts of adulting, which we'll get in more in later of this course. But there are 6 core concepts that make up adulting. And you'll see that in your actual student adulting plan, which we'll actually go through it within this plan and set specific goals for each concept of adulting, and then set some actual steps and deadlines and things like that to the tasks that you need and the things that you're trying to achieve within your own life becoming an adult. So there are 6 key concepts of adulting that we have to recognize when we think about transitioning into adult, practicing or being an adult in the world. The first thing we have to look at is adulting documents, important legal documents that you need as an adult. That is the first concept. The second concept is career planning. The third concept we're looking at is education planning. That is a big one. Health and wellness, housing and moving, and transportation. So let's go ahead and take a look into adulting documents for a second. So when we start to think about adulting documents, the first thing that we're thinking about is the important documents that we need. What important documents do we need as an adult? You have to ask yourself that question right now. Just think about it. What important documents do you need as an adult? If you've ever seen an adult, if you grew up with your parents or your grandparents or your aunt or uncle, and you've seen these adults, what documents did they have? Okay, so the documents that you would need as an adult that are very, very important and vital to your adulthood, it would be a social security card, a social security card to confirm your identity or your citizenship into the U.S., a U.S. birth certificate, a birth certificate basically stating, the date that you were officially born, the date, the time, and this confirms that your age and location where you were born. This is a very, very important document for you to have. A resident or state ID card. Some people may look at this as a driver's license or a permanent license or something like that. These are very important documents because what they do is they help establish and confirm your identity, citizenship, your birth, your age, or even your education. Another very important adulting document that we don't think about until we need it is your high school or college transcript. And that can be very important, specifically if you are considering a new job, a new career somewhere, and you may have to give these transcripts to your new employer or even put the information onto a professional resume. So these documents are very, very important as you work to become an adult or successful adult. I mean, you got to think about applying for jobs, buying a car, buying a home, whether you're going to seek medical services. You need all of these documents at some point in time in your life as an adult. So these are what you would consider the important adulting documents. So let's take a look at the next component of adult readiness, which is education readiness or education planning. So when you hear the phrase education readiness, and I don't know if you've heard this before or not, but I've heard this quite a while, especially coming through high school. Like, what does this mean? When people say, oh, are you educationally ready? Or what is educational readiness? Or getting ready for your own education? What does that even mean, right? So basically, in a simple term or simple text, it means to create a plan with some steps for you to create some goals that you can achieve educationally, if that you can achieve your educational goals. So you're going to create some goals that you can achieve for your own educational career so you can be educationally successful. Okay, so that's basically what it means. And so when you're thinking about educational readiness, and you're thinking about some of your educational goals. Let's say you are in a second year in college right now, okay? And one of your goals is to go to graduate school. What are some things that you have to do to prepare yourself to get to go to graduate school? You're creating that educational readiness plan. What are those things that you have to prepare yourself to get ready for grad school for? So one of the things could be finding school funding. Are there scholarships available? Are you going to use financial aid? Are you going to pay for school yourself out of your pocket and get maybe a full-time job? Are you going to work for an employer who's going to pay for your education? Setting goals around maintaining a good GPA. What is a good GPA? What is the type of GPA that you would need to get into grad school? So those are the things that you're looking for. Also, submitting the school application, getting those 3 reference letters or professional reference letters from your teacher or your professor or your employer to go along with that grad application, and completing school entrance exams. So these will be some of the things that you want to look at to prepare for graduate school. If graduate school was something that you were interested in after your 4-year college degree. Now, why is this important, Tony? Some of you may be asking, why is this important? Why is this important that we have to create an educational readiness plan? Well, number one, an educational readiness plan helps you organize your thoughts. Okay, living in the world today, we have so many different distractions. We have so many different things to try to take our attention away from what is most important and remove our focus. So when we create a plan for ourselves, we are able to put our thoughts in a organized manner to where we can decipher what's most important, what gets the highest priority, and what should not get priority at all. And then also it establishes a clear vision for yourself. So creating a plan organizes your thoughts, creates a clear vision so you know where you're going, okay? And so a lot of times when I help students and I help them prepare for life after graduation and career planning, one of the things that I tell them is, okay, when you're thinking about your life after graduation, when you're thinking about adulting, when you're thinking about goal planning, imagine a target board, a dart board, right? And it's a target. And the first thing that you want to aim for is the area in the middle, okay? You want to aim for the area in the middle that has the most amount of points. You want to hit the right target right where you can get it immediately. You want to stay very specific about where you want to go, because you have to be specific about the steps that you need to take to get there, okay? And so that you stay on track, you have to have a clear vision of where you want to go. And then next, you have to establish accountability. What a educational readiness plan does, it establishes accountability, because once you write something down and you set dates and deadlines for that specific task to be done, you make yourself accountable for completing it. Okay, you're more likely to complete something that you've written down, something that you've established a date for, and something that's getting your attention. You're more likely to complete something like that versus something you're not writing down at all. It's just kind of like a thought, and it goes out one ear and out the other. So that's pretty much why an educational readiness plan is very important to help you striking and completing or achieving your own goals. for your educational success. So let's take a look at career readiness. So career readiness, on the other hand, is another phrase that's used a lot, specifically with high schoolers or even college students who may be attempting to get ready for a career in the real world, what they would say. And so basically, a career readiness plan prepares or sets up steps that you would take to be professionally successful. Okay. And so what does that mean? So if you're creating a career readiness plan, what that means is saying, okay, it's going to include creating a resume. You know, part of seeking out a career is to being able to position yourself to where you're credible, where you have knowledge and understanding of the specific job or the specific tasks that are required within that career. So a resume is highly necessary. Having a cover letter, an introduction about who you are, some of your good strengths and why you're interested in the job, you know, creating that cover letter and establishing those professional references and those professional experiences that are going to kind of validate why you should be the person chosen for that job. So having a career readiness plan is going to hone in on all of these components to be able to help you move forward in your career plan. And then also too, it'll kind of help you define, you know, the difference between a job and a career, you know, because sometimes you may be working a job and you're trying to plan for a career. So you need to understand, or it would be good to understand the difference between a job and a career. And remember, a job is basically work performed to earn money, to fulfill your basic needs. That's basically what a job is. It's just something that you're doing to take care of your bills or your basic needs. And a career, on the other hand, is a little different. A career is a long-term journey, you know, full of sacrifices and investments that you are doing to achieve your passions, you know, to achieve some goals, some things that you really, really want to do and see yourself doing for a long period of time. So that's more so a career. So now that we've looked at both educational and career readiness, let's take a look at health and wellness. So health and wellness is another component of adulting, okay? And this is one of the biggest components of adulting that get missed a lot of times, specifically when you're dealing with the real world and you're getting into the hustle and bustle of going to work. You're traveling and traffic, and you're dealing with certain people's attitudes and personalities. You're dealing with the deadlines and the pressures of getting work done. So you get less time to do work and you get more work. So they give you more work with less time to do it, basically. So that can be very, very stressful. So having a health and wellness plan can be extremely beneficial. And when you're talking about adulting, okay? So health and wellness is a core value in adulting. And it helps establish basically for you to have a long and quality type of life to prevent stress and reduce the risk of illness. So if I were to ask you right now, how will you take care of your health? Okay. After graduation, how will you take care of your health? What does that mean, Tony? So what does that mean? How will you take care of your health? What does that mean? So what I mean is, have you selected a physician or a doctor to take care, a primary care physician, a doctor that you can see on an annual basis? Have you selected a dentist to take care of your teeth? Do you know, or do you have your own health insurance card if you need to go to the doctor? Okay. Have you thought of different habits that you want to keep or different habits that you want to move away from so you can stay active physically and healthy? You know, have you considered selecting a gym membership? Have you considered healthy eating habits or practicing healthy eating habits? So this will be a part of your health and wellness plan. So these are the things that you want to think about to help you manage the day-to-day life of stress or the life within the workplace or within at school. So say for instance, you don't have a health and wellness plan. You become an adult. or you an adult, you don't have a health and wellness plan, and you work in a highly demanding job. You're trying to manage workload and different things like that. You have no clue about what you're going to do to handle or tackle this stress. What do you think will happen? You could be highly stressful. It could cause you to have a high burnout rate. It can cause you not to like your job. It could cause you to be bitter, upset. It can cause unhealthy weight gain. It can cause a lot of different things by not having a health and wellness plan. So a part of adulting, a major part of adulting that which I want to emphasize again, that does not get talked about a lot is health and wellness. And health and wellness is a huge concept that's part of adulting. So let's move into the next concept of adulting. So the next concept of adulting is housing and moving. Housing and moving is a common concept in adulting, basically, which helps students or requires you to prepare for your move out. So let's say you're living with your parents currently. Let's say you're in high school, you're in college, and you're living with your parents, and you're thinking about getting that new apartment or a new condo and things like that. But before you move out, what are the steps that you have to do to make sure that you move out successfully? Okay. So let's say, for instance, I'm living with my mom right now and I want to move out to my own apartment. What are some things that I have to do? Well, number one, I have to make sure that I have some type of employment so that I can pay my bills. Okay. So I have to establish some type of proof of employment. And have a good long employment track record, maybe 1 to 2 years or something like that. I have to establish some type of financial credit, right? I have to have some type of financial reputation where people feel like, hey, you know what? It's okay to give that guy a loan, or it's okay to lease this apartment to this person right here because their credit is good. Their financial reputation is good. It's okay with me. Then next, I will have to establish a financial budget. So if you're going to move out, you have to know, number one, what are your bills going to be? How much are you going to have to pay on a month-to-month basis, whether it be your rent, utilities, foods, clothes, gas for your car, maintenance for your car, these different things that go into your financial budget on a monthly basis. And then you have to ask yourself, do I make enough money to pay all these bills, right? So these are some of the things that go into a housing and moving plan, which is a large part of adulting. And then also too, understanding a housing and leasing agreement. Before you move out, you want to make sure that you read the lease agreement, that you read the agreement that the landlord is requiring you to sign. Read everything that you're going to put your signature on, so you have a good idea of what the requirements are and what you will be held accountable for. So in your housing and moving plan, that's something that you want to take note of. If you've never read a housing and leasing agreement, if you never signed one before, in that plan, you want to identify that so that you can actually get a sample housing or leasing plan and look over it, see what the terminology looks like, see what key areas you want to hone in on and focus on when it's time for you to actually sign your housing and leasing agreement. So this plan right here is a very, very important and very critical and sensitive a component of adulting here. And this plan right here should be well thought out. Okay. It's not something that you want to just put together in 24 hours. It's something that's going to kind of take time because you have to plan the steps necessary for you to actually have a strong move out. And a lot of times what I've seen students do, I've seen students not only work with me, but also can ask their parents and work with their parents too while they're creating this move out plan, or their guardian creating this move out plan for extra things that they may not be thinking about. Because think about it. If you're a first time mover, you've never moved before. Okay. You never moved from one resident to another resident. It may be a lot of things that you don't know. Okay. Maybe a lot of things that you don't know about how to select movers, or how to select the right location to move to, or how to get your utilities turned on. You know, it may be a lot of different things that you don't understand or not know, but it's really good to identify it in the plan so that you're able to get the information that you do need to be able to make a strong and conscious decision before signing your name on that dotted line. So let's move into the next concept, which is the last concept of adulting, and it is transportation. Transportation. And transportation is basically, how are you going to get around? How are you going to get from point A to point B? Have you thought about what you're going to do as an adult? Are you going to take Uber? Are you going to consider buying a car? Are you going to use public transportation? You know, if you're going to consider buying a car, let's say you're going to consider buying a car, you're going to be a first-time driver, okay? Everybody, you know, I remember being a first-time driver. It was extremely, extremely exciting, but a little nervous. My mom was extremely nervous for me because I was 16 years old and just behind the wheel, and she was just very, very nervous about that. And I can only imagine how I would feel if my son was 16 and he has a new permit and I have to buy him a car and just hope that he listens to everything that I say. But being a new driver, okay, having a transportation plan around what is going to be required for you to be able to operate your vehicle and manage your vehicle successfully, okay? So what do I mean by that? Tony, what do you mean? What I mean by that is establishing a vehicle budget. Before you consider being a first-time driver, you have to understand what's going to be required financially, you know, in terms of if you purchase a vehicle, how much money are you going to need to buy it, down payment? What about licenses and registration fees? You know, how are you going to pay these things? And also, too, considering a driver's license, if you consider to be a first-time driver, you have to make sure that you have met the legal requirements, whether it is getting a state permit or a state driver's license, and fulfilling those requirements. And understanding also, too, vehicle maintenance, whether it is learning how to change a flat, adding oil, listening to different noises, and understanding how your car operates from a mechanical side, or even selecting a mechanic to take care of your vehicle to kind of help the longevity or the lifespan of your vehicle, because your vehicle could be one of the more expensive purchases that you buy as an adult. You know, one of the biggest expenses is, if we have to look at financially, the big expenses that you see as an adult, you have to say, well, education, you know, getting a degree can be extremely expensive. You know, that's something that you purchase as an adult. Buying a home, that can be something that's very expensive. And then purchasing a vehicle, you know. And so if you do purchase a vehicle, you want to make sure that that vehicle lasts very long and gives you your money's worth. And the only way to do that is by properly understanding your vehicle maintenance or selecting a mechanic to take care of your vehicle. So we have wrapped this chapter up. So we have went over the 6 key concepts of adulting, which are important adulting documents, okay? Career planning and education planning, health and wellness, housing and moving out, and last but not least, transportation. So we went over those 6 core concepts, which we're going to go ahead and close out the chapter now. But before we get through with this chapter, I want you to take a quick course knowledge check. Just basically go over some of the things that we went over. But remember, within this course knowledge check, you have to get at least the 80% to pass and move forward to the next chapter. So continue keeping up the good work. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at tony.ikiola@gmail.com, or remember to use the course discussion button or board and post a question, or you can look for different questions that's already been posted, and maybe you can learn some new information. So other than that, we're going to go ahead and close out this chapter. Once you complete your quiz, please proceed to the next chapter. Thank you, and I hope you have a nice day.